Now, the Foreign Office has advised against travelling to Russia, obviously, in the wake of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We go to Simon Calder, travel expert here, to tell us about the repercussions of that. Because, Simon, we're not just talking about going to Russia or not going to Russia. We're talking about Russian airspace, Ukraine airspace, which would impact a lot on people going where?
Well, anywhere in kind of East Asia and Australia. Indeed, I flew out last weekend to Australia, straight over the top of Russia, spent about 6 or 8 hours in Russian airspace. Coming back, the routing is now going very much over the Gulf. It takes about half an hour longer. It means that you're flying actually over northern Iraq, because it is regarded as better to be over northern Iraq than over Russia. Having said that, other airlines are still using Russian airspace. I've been tracking this morning Japan Airlines Flight 43 from Tokyo to London Heathrow. That's currently just east of Novosibirsk in Siberia. It's taking the most direct route. There is a huge cost involved to airlines if they avoid Russian airspace. It's the biggest country in the world, and it's also absolutely the shortcut between anywhere East Asia, so Tokyo, Hong Kong, even Singapore and Sydney. Russia is on the way.
And lots of change in terms of travel at the moment as well, aside from the Russian crisis. Of course, COVID situation improving. Just described that you've just, as we spoke to you this time last week or thereabouts in Sydney. What else is changing as of this week?
Well, lots is changing. Today, actually, the European Union has put out new advice to all 27 member countries saying, right, from today, we believe that we should take a much more relaxed approach. And that means if you've been jabbed, you come in without a test. If you're unvaccinated, then you're allowed in. We'll probably ask you to take a PCR test, unless you've recovered from COVID in the past 6 months, in which case you can come in anyway. Now, each EU country is sovereign, and they can decide whether or not to accept those rules, and they will make their own interpretations. But Italy, absolutely critical, generally the third most popular country for British people after Spain and France. They've said, yep, OK, from today, no tests for people unless you're unvaccinated, in which case you can come in with a test. And certainly for people who haven't been jabbed, for whatever reason, life is most definitely getting easier. We saw on Friday Iceland saying everybody can come in, no tests, no vaccination proof needed, in you come.
You make that sound so easy, but nothing's ever easy with transport. I mean, look, last week we had the British Airways outage. We had the storms, various storms that came in. Chaos. I mean, that
sure. Today, anybody in London will know that there is a tube strike on. No tubes at all running. I've been running around myself, finding out what's happening, and the answer is exactly nothing. Transport for London worry of severe disruption tomorrow morning as well. And then there's another strike on Thursday. Now, trying to find some good news out of this, because there's a strike, people won't notice yet that there's a 4.8% increase in tube fares. But meanwhile, on the railways, the national railways in England and Wales, fares go up today by 3.8%, highest increase for 9 years. The government says, well, at least it's lower than the prevailing inflation rate at the moment.
Depressing.
Well, we are going to talk about that. I just also want to say, is there any lesson? We've come through a half term. Easter is the next holiday. Is there? So what I'm building up to, I mean, that was a disaster the last couple of weeks. Any light at the end of the tunnel as to travel easing?
Oh, sure. The direction of travel is very much 2 steps forward, 1 step back. A lot of concern from people. Well, Isabel earlier was talking about, we're getting worried here about what Putin is saying. People who are travelling, certainly to Western Europe over Easter, it's going to be fine. But just be warned, of course, we've got our old friends Rail Engineering Works. So Stansted Airport's going to be cut off from the usual Stansted Express rail services, and there's going to be all kinds of other closures if you're travelling within the UK. Sorry to be the voice of travel doom.
You have to want it to do it, really, I suppose. Thanks very much indeed, Simon. Appreciate it. Thank you.